Okay, so I'm going to start from the beginning because I had a phone call and I don't remember where I left off. This is what we're going to end up creating, and it's going to be a combination of HTML, CSS, and jQuery, which is a JavaScript library that we'll be exploring this week. And the jQuery component is basically going to do an on-click. It's going to show the menu, and then when you leave the mouse, when the mouse leaves, it's going to disappear. It's going to hide. So this is a combination of, go ahead. So this is what you're going to get whenever you get this file. It's going to look like that. There is a Bootstrap component to this, and I'll include that link in here. It's in the head. So you'll see that, so you don't have to worry about bringing that in. So let's see, I want to start from the beginning. I got notes here because, like I said, we are including multiple little different components. So the way that these are, as you remember from Bootstrap, playing with Bootstrap before, they have some like the classes that are already built into Bootstrap. And you can love it, or you can like it, or you can hate it, but sometimes it is useful because it just does the things that we want without us having to do all the customization ourselves. So here are 3 classes within Bootstrap: navbar, navbar light, and background light, BG light. Okay, so I'm in here and I want a dark header, or the nav. I don't like the light. And what you can do is to kind of, to get yourself used to Bootstrap, there's a couple different resources that you can look at to try to find the different things. There's Bootstrap documentation, obviously, but it's kind of hard to find stuff. And W3 Schools has it kind of laid out a little bit differently, where it's a little bit easier to find. So colors is what I'm wanting to look at, BS4 colors. Maybe. Oh, there it goes. Okay, colors. So this kind of goes over a little bit about the colors. The prefabbed classes that are there are text muted, text primary, text success, and you can see that all the way down there. But what I'm wanting is the background color, which is down here. So there's these prefab stuff: background primary, background success. You can see it down here: background info, background warning, background danger, background secondary, background dark, which is this one here, and then background light, which is this last one. And BG light, if you remember, is what we have right now. But I want dark, so I'm just going ahead and change this to dark. Give it a sec. Okay, you can see it's dark, but now that I can actually see the word menu, it's all the way on the right-hand side, and I don't want that. Through a process of trial and error, I didn't, and sometimes that's how you customize the Bootstrap. You just start taking out classes and see what happens. And that put it on the left-hand side, and I'm happy with that. So just take out that navbar word. Doesn't mean I know what exactly that navbar does. I can take a deeper dive into Bootstrap and all of, and I can click on this link and dive into it and see what exactly the properties that are within that class. But I don't want to, and I don't care enough for this particular instance. So I know that just deleting that navbar works, and I'm going to leave it as that. So everything else is fine. So now we're going to go on to line 17 and the image. So you can see, oops, I have a very simplistic logo here. Okay, I mean, it is very simplistic. And well, I want you to create your own logo. So whenever you get this file, it's not going to have the images in here. So the way you can create a logo, if you have another way of doing it, that's fine. But I'm going to use Canva. And I do have the paid version of Canva, but there's a lot of good stuff with the free version as well. So create a design, logo. I think the only thing that the paid version does is like you just have more access to some of the images in the templates. I think other than that, everything else is the same. Okay, so you can see if you look at this logo right here, the defile demode thing, all I did was just take out the defile demode. I don't know if I'm saying that right, and put in the word shoes. Yours can be as simple as that. So I'm going to click on just something different and just the shoes. You can change, you can make it whatever you want. I'm not expecting you to spend a lot of time on this. And then you would click on this download or click on that download. It should be a PNG file, which is good. And you're going to download it. Okay, so it's downloading. And what you're going to want to do for this particular assignment, you're going to want a folder, just like right now I have mine named okay. I'm in a JavaScript 2 week 4 folder, and I'm naming this JavaScript practice. You can name this whatever you want, but I do recommend having a folder just for this particular project here. You'll receive these files. Maybe there might be one you might not receive, but you'll be receiving these files. But I recommend you make it a folder inside this just for images. So you can see I have already in here. So I'm going to go ahead and oh shoot, that's not what I wanted to do. Show in folder. So I'm going to cut that. Shoot. Cut that. And I want to find my JavaScript 2, week 4, jQuery practice, images, and I'm going to paste it. And I'm going to go ahead and replace it. It's fine. Okay, so my shoes.png file now looks different, which is fine. And it should, yep, it automatically reflects in here because it's in the same file as all my other stuff is. Okay. So that's one component of the assignment, is to create an image and put it in there, or create a logo and put it in there. Let's see. So on line 57, we are going to start working with SVGs. This is a PNG, and I'll explain that why it's PNG instead of SVG. But let's go ahead and start looking at it. So you remember SVG, if you're in the HTML class, go ahead and close out some of this stuff. I don't need it. SVG stands for Scalable Vector Graphics. Okay. And you can create your own, which is fine. Or you can, do what I'm getting ready to do, which is called the Noun Project. And some of the scalable SVG stuff you can create on your own. It's not that hard. It's circles and rectangles and all that stuff. It's not too difficult, but you can actually get pretty creative with your SVGs. And I am not that creative person. I don't have the mindset and I don't have the patience to create everything SVGs. And this is what I use instead. It's called the Noun Project. There's probably other resources that are out there that do something similar. But what it is, that is just icons. So for this particular component, you go back into here, so shoes. These little arrows. Right now they're PNGs, and we're going to eventually use PNGs, but I wanted to explain the SVGs for you first as to why we're not using SVGs. So what I'm looking for is an arrow. So just do a search for arrow. So let's find one I like. I'm going to go stick with, let's do one's a little bit complicated. Let's go ahead and do this one. Oh, shoot. So you click on the one you want, and then you would say, get this icon. Now you can do the pro or you can do the basic download. Basic download's free, but you can't customize it. If you got something you're really working on and customization does matter, you can customize like the colors and things of that nature. And you have some fun with it. But you can't download it. Well, you might be able to kind of crop it with the snippet tool. That's kind of cheating. Anyways, but for our purposes, we are going to do the basic download. I'm going to lose my edits because with the basic download, I can customize it. So hit continue. And we're going to go ahead and do SVG first. So we're going to download an SVG. So it's downloading. I'm going to go ahead and show in folder. I'm going to cut this, hit Control X, desktop, JavaScript 2, week 4, jQuery practice, images, and Control V to paste that in there. And you'll see it's the Internet Explorer or whatever it's called now, images here. And we're going to go ahead and look at VS Code, and I'm going to explain what exactly this looks like. So it was this one that we just did. I'm going to do the word wrap on this. So this is SVG. See all those numbers and those paths and those it's kind of reference to the polygons and all those things that you can really do in SVG that I don't have the patience or the drive to learn how to do this stuff by hand. So that's why I use something like the Noun project. You can play with some customizations in here. Like say I wanted this to be bad ass. Let's see. I don't know how I would see that. But anyways, probably if I go ahead and include it. Let's go ahead and try that. Let's go ahead and include it and see what happens. This is kind of where I'm just getting curious and I haven't tried this before, so bear with me. So the name of it is Noun Arrow SVG. Oopsie. Noun Arrow SVG. So I hit save and I'm going to go in here, see what it looks like. Okay. I can't really zoom it any further, but you can see that it did change something. The badass is now created by the Rainbow designers. And this is some of the stuff that, we're going to crop out. I'm not saying that's necessarily the right thing to do because we should give credit to the artist, but we're going to crop it out for our purposes. But that's what it changed, changing badass in there. Let's see if we can change some other components. Yeah, I don't even know what to change in here. Let's change X or that text X to, well, it's going to be messing the text. I don't want to mess with the text anymore because text is not where the bulk, the meat of the stuff that we want. So let's change the X here to 100 pixels and see what happens. I think it moved it forward a little bit. Let's change that to 1,000 and see what happens. Oh, no, I can't see a difference. But anyways, this is SVG. And all these little numbers, they represent the path of different things, those different lines and different components of the SVG file. And see, we're going to change this to from 50 to 500 here. It kind of gives it a different shape, more like a teardrop shape. And if you have the time and patience, know-how, this is great. I don't have any of those. But that's SVG. We can use that if you want to spend the time, like if I don't want this text in here, I can go ahead and delete out text to text, leave the SVG closing. Okay, it gets rid of the text for me. So this is not necessarily bad. It just depends on what your purpose is. Okay. And if you have to start customizing and resizing it or some other things, this may not be the thing you want to do. So that's one way you can do it. If you like SVG, you can leave it at SVG. I'm not going to stick with SVG though. So let's go back to the noun project because you'll see that there was also a PNG. Download PNG. There we go. And let's go ahead and see what that's going to look like. So I'm going to close this out. And it's the exact same name, but this is now PNG. So I'm going to name it PNG. Give it a second to update. Okay, oops, maybe I didn't get the name of the file right. Oh, I didn't move it. Okay, my bad. Okay, so go to show in folder, Control X to cut it, desktop, JavaScript 2, week 4, jQuery practice, images, and Control V to paste it, and there it is. And you can actually see it looks like an image as opposed to this Internet Explorer stuff. Okay, so now let's try it. Okay, so that looks fine. The ones that I did when I was practicing for this video, for this presentation, is like the arrows were really big. So resizing is not too much of an issue here. I had to resize the arrows. Oh, no, wait a minute. It's because I already still have them resized. I had to resize it, and which I haven't taken out yet. There we go. Okay, so when you download, when you use these PNG files, let's see what it looks like if I go back to SVG. You may have to resize it with a width and, okay, that one's not as big. You may have to resize it with the width and height attributes. Okay, that's better. And I kind of like the teardrop shape, but just for this thing, I'm just going to keep it with PNG. And okay, but I still have this text here. So the way you can crop out the text, this is old school. There may be newer, fancier ways out there. I'm sure there is. But I'm just going to go to Paint. So in the bottom left, I type in the word Paint, and this is on every Windows PC. If you have a Mac, I'm sure there's something comparable. I just don't know what it's called. So I'm going to open up, and I'm going to find the arrow that I'm wanting to use now, the noun arrow 313, open that up. And I'm just going to hit select. And I'm going to kind of cut off the top. I don't know if I like this image, but I'm going to keep going with it. And just select everything except the content below the text. Crop, and then the text is gone. And then I just hit save, and then it's saved. And then when I refresh, it looks weird, but again, yeah, I don't think I like this arrow, but I'm going to keep going with it. So find an area you like. And so that is how I want you to do this stuff. You can leave this generic naming purposes, or you can rename it like I did here whenever I was prepping for this. Let's see. So I want you to do that on line 57. And I'm going to take this out on the files that I sent to you guys, so you have to do it. Line 74. And then on line 92. And I'm going to take out these attributes here so you guys can practice with it as well. And on line 106, you'll need to change, you need to make sure your image is in there. So you just need to add this content. And then there's a width and height attribute as well. Okay. So that's basically the HTML side of things that I want us to work on. I want you guys to do as the assignment. So for the jQuery side, so we're in a file, it's called jQuery.js, and you'll notice it is right before our closing, it calls upon it right before our closing body tag. So I'm on line 116 here, and it's got script source jQuery.js, closing script. Oops. Let's see. So if you've already watched the video, which is it still downloading? Oh, it's ready to be published finally. Okay. I'll do that next after I get done with this one. So remember, what we're going to do is create an on-click, and it's going to show the menu, and then whenever we leave the mouse, it's going to leave. It's going to disappear. So let's go ahead. We'll go ahead and take out this stuff. And when I hit save, that functionality is gone. Now it just highlights it. So the first thing we need to do, again, we're in the jQuery.js file, is call upon, we're going to use the dollar symbol as the alias for jQuery. And it's going to be document, which is telling us that we're talking about this particular document, which is referred to in here because this is where we got the source at. And we're going to say when it's ready. So basically, whenever the HTML page is ready, go ahead and start doing the stuff. And this is a little bit different than we may have done before. It's got two open parentheses, and then it's got a single closed parentheses. That threw me off. At least it threw me off whenever I started doing this. So, and then we're doing the fat arrow, which is called, more technically called the function arrow. I call it the fat arrow, but it's called the function arrow. This was with an ES6. This is when we replaced having to use word function with the function arrow. Okay, so I'm going to add some space on that last closing parentheses, and then doing the open curly bracket because we're going to create a function. And first thing we're going to do, we're going to declare a variable. And remember, declaring a variable, you can use var, let, or const. In this, we're going to use const. And we are going to name our variable. It's you can tell it's going to be jQuery because we have the dollar symbol. Menu button. And our variable, the value of our variable is going to be equal to, using the dollar symbol, again, because it's jQuery, open parentheses, single quote, period, menu, dash button, single quote, and the closing parentheses, and a semicolon. So what this is referring to is for a class of menu button. And this is a class because it's got a period. Remember, I got my period in class. And so let's go ahead and save that, and let's see. So you can do find, Control F, menu button, and somewhere, okay, there's a menu button. So it's on line 18. And when I make references to line numbers, if yours changes because I either delete something when I send these files to you, or you make some edits that kind of throws off the line numbers, that's fine. But for this video, just kind of give you a point of reference of where I'm at. So this is the class. So we're going to be looking for anything that has this class of menu button based off the search up here. It looks on 1 of 1, so this is the only one. So we got a class of menu button, and menu falls under the class of menu button. Okay. And now we are going to our next line. We're going to declare another variable, const, a query symbol of the $, nav, drop down. So we're declaring a variable name, nav drop down, equals $symbol sign for jQuery, open parentheses, single quote, hashtag symbol, nav drop down. closing or single quote, and then closing parentheses and a semicolon. So we're declaring a variable. This is the name of our variable. The value of our variable is, it's just as a reminder, it's jQuery. And it's going to be a ID, which is indicated with the hashtag symbol. Because remember, a hashtag symbol can be like your social, think of it like your social security number or student ID. There's only one person that has a particular student ID or social security number. So there's only one element that can use nav dropdown. On the menu button, it's a class. There's only one used once, but more than one can use it. On nav dropdown, there can only be one use of it. Nav drop down. There it is. And this is the nav menu, and you don't see it right now. It's not until we actually do this clicking, if you remember, that it shows. So it saves our screen space until it's actually needed. And then it shows us stuff. Oopsie. Okay, so that's all on that. And now we are going to do the commands. So it'll show the menu. So I'm just doing a comment here to describe what we're doing next. We're going to show the menu. And we are going the dollar symbol sign for jQuery, menu button, which is the variable we named up here. Menu button. We're doing the on method, and this was covered in the other video, which I'll be sending out. And we're going to listen for an event handler. And the event handler we're listening to for right now is click. So open parentheses, single quote, click, single quote, comma, open and close parentheses, function arrow, and then open curly bracket. So what it's saying is whenever our variable of menu button is clicked on, then we are going to show, and what we're going to show is going to be our nav dropdown, and we're going to have it an event handler of show, or method of show. It's a method, not an event handler. A method of show, and put a semicolon. And now we're going to hide the menu. So let's go ahead and save that and see what happens. See if I got this right so far. Okay, so we click on it, it shows the menu, but now what doesn't go away? And we want it to go away. We don't want it to be up there all the time. So now we're going to make it disappear. So I'm going to just put some comments in here to show what we're doing. We're going to hide the menu now. And we're calling upon jQuery variable with the dollar symbol, nav dropdown. And we're saying whenever on, and we're going to be looking for a specific event, and that's going to be, in this case, mouse leave. Single quote, comma, open and close parentheses, the function arrow, the open curly bracket. And what we're saying is when the mouse leaves, on the event of mouse leaving, then we are going to hide it. So we're going to do nav drop down, which if you remember is right here. And it's the ID of the nav drop down, have all those components, the menu items. And we are going to do hide, the hide method, semicolon, close, nope, I've already got the close curly bracket, and close parentheses, and a semicolon. Okay, save that. So give it a minute to refresh. So if I click on menu, so it shows it. Now when I leave, okay, it disappears, which is what I want. So this is what, I'm going to misspell menu. This is what I want you to do as also part of the assignment. And so I'm going to send you this file, but it's going to be empty. And I do want you to do the comments just to kind of give you some segmentation on what you're doing. make sure you have a good understanding of it. And so one of the things that we've talked about is event handlers like click and mouse leave, and methods like hide and show. So the expectation is not for you to automatically just know that crap. This is why you go to these kinds of things. So it's all called API-jQuery.com. It's with the jQuery website. And the one we are doing is show. There it is. So it displays the matched elements. And with every, remember, like these elements is menu button class or the nav drop, which was what we were showing. The ID of nav drop is what it's doing. It's showing this particular components. And the other one we were doing was hide. There we go. Hide, it hides the matched elements. So where we showed it, now we were hiding it with the mouse leave. So in the event handlers, let's see. Let's go ahead and click in here. So we were doing show, no, wait a minute, event handler, click, I'm sorry. So click, so it binds an event handler to the click JavaScript or event or trigger that is of an element. So whenever we clicked on menu button, and the menu button had the class of menu button here, then it showed it because that was the method we called upon. And then what was the other one? Mouse leave. Okay. Mouse leave. So it binds an event handler to be fired when the mouse leaves an element or trigger that handler on an element. So there's different things that you can do here. Kind of like everything else, like with variables and other things, you get a lot of fun. You can have a lot of fun whenever you just take a deep dive into it. But you just have to have the time and the mindset to take a deep dive and make sure you don't get frustrated whenever things don't work right. I think sometimes that's the hardest part, is it's easy to get frustrated when things don't work right and you don't understand. But then the joy that comes from this particular thing is then when you do understand it, it's like awesome. So double click, click to double click, just for curiosity's sakes. So it was what, DBL? Yeah, DBL click. And go back into here. So if I click on it once, it doesn't do anything. Double click will bring it up. So those are the different ways that you can play with it. If you want to play with something weird just because you're enjoying this and having fun, just be descriptive in your comments. Like if I did this, I want to show menu on double click. I mean, I can see that, but I just want you to be more aware of what you're doing. And let's say I want to hide menu. I think mouse up was one of them. Let's do mouse up and see what that does. And this is where curiosity can come in. This is where me being curious, and my VS Code's messing up. Shoot. Let's see. Okay. So double click still on there. So let's go to here, mouse up. And let's go in here and see what happens. It should have already refreshed, but just to make sure. Oh, because it died. Go back in here, right click on it, on index, right click on it, open with live server. Give it a minute or two. Try this again. Pause this while I figure out what's done. Okay, decided to work again. Okay, so the live preview, what I have right now is double click. It shows a menu. And when I mouse up, it's supposed to go away, but it's not working. So that could be a crappy one. I don't know if that's one I would like having to mouse up. You know, nobody wants to do that. Like mouse down, it doesn't work. So that's probably not one I'd recommend. Let me make sure I got that right. Yeah, I got it right. It's just a crappy one. So let's not do that one. Mouse leave. It sounds a lot more better. More better. That's not a good way of saying that either. I'm just not having a good day. I don't think I saved it. I have a dog being needy right now. Okay, double click's fine. Mouse leave is better than mouse up because you got to also kind of think about their user experience. Okay, it's funny, come. You got to think about your user experience. Are they going to know that mouse up is the only way to get this go away? No. You know, it's kind of more natural for it just like to leave, and then they'll say, oh, when I leave the area, then it goes away. Double click may or not be the best way of going about this either for the user experience. It can be frustrating when sometimes you're just expecting just to click on it once and it's not working. And some people will know just if you got to double click and some may not. So you got to think about your user experience. So you want to make that a single click as well. Be descriptive. I want you to be, even if you do with the norm of mouse leave and click, I want you to be descriptive on what it's doing. Hide menu when the mouse leaves the menu area. And just single click, it works and it leaves. Good. So this is the assignment that I want you guys to work on. And I'll send you the files. The files I'll be sending you that you'll need are the styles. It's nothing, in case you haven't figured it out, I kind of stole this from somewhere else. And that's fine because I don't have the time to try to create something like that. It's a lot of CSS for, so stole's not the right word, borrowed from somewhere else. There's a lot of CSS in here that we're not necessarily using for this particular assignment, and that's fine. Just leave it as is. There's nothing for you to do with the CSS. If you want to change the images on the shoes that I have, I'll send you the image file so it'll link. But if you want to have some fun with this and change the image files on the shoes that I have here, you can leave that as is. Or if you want to find something else on lines 125, 127, and 129 on the CSS file is where you would do that. And if you want to change some of the styling here, it's in this particular, it starts on 105, and then you can see the classes and stuff, then where you can kind of spend some time to customize it if you want. That's not a requirement on the assignment. So I'm going to include the style.css. There's really nothing you need to change on this unless you want to. The index thing, I'm going to empty out some of the things that you see on here because that is part of the assignment. And I'll have a list in the Blackboard of what the components are. In the line numbers, as represented in this video, they may go up or down once I delete some of the stuff. And the jQuery, I'll send you an empty jQuery.js file. So there's nothing for you to, it's going to be empty, so you have to do everything on this. The thing I don't think I mentioned, but I'll go ahead and mention it now. I am going to leave this blank. I'm going to delete this line, so you have to go through the practice of actually including it as well. So I'll be sending you the index, the style, the jQuery.js. I'll be sending you the actual images for the files. The red athletic, which I just noticed I misspelled, but that's okay. red athletic shoes, Vans old school, and men's red white shoes. Those are the only image files I'll be sending. The files for the logos you'll be needing to create on something like Canva. The arrows, you can use SVG or PNGs, whichever one you prefer if you want to mess with those SVGs a little bit, but you'll need to add those as well. So that's pretty much it for the assignment. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.